Some of y'all think that isolation is punishment when it actually might be protection. See, we panic the moment life gets quiet. The calls slow down, the invites stop, certain people disappear, and suddenly you feel alone. But what if God removed the noise on purpose? Because sometimes people can be so loud around you, you stop hearing yourself, and even worse, you stop hearing God. It took me about 10 years to understand this. See, growth doesn't always happen in crowds or around people. Sometimes it happens in silence, in heartbreak, in the lonely nights that nobody knows about. That is where your character gets built. The Bible tells us something about being still and knowing who God is. Sometimes the stillness is the classroom. Because when the distractions disappear, you finally face yourself, your habits, your wounds, your purpose. And slowly, you stop chasing attention and you start chasing peace. You stop depending on people to validate you. And you begin to understand that isolation is not always abandonment. Sometimes it is the preparation for you in your next season and the next version of you. So if life feels quiet right now, don't waste this season. God may be building you in private before he blesses you in public. And if this message speaks to you, embrace the process and keep growing.
Are you getting to the point that you just really don't want to be around a lot of people anymore? Are you getting to the point that you are going out your way to isolate yourself? That if you can avoid other people, you do it at all costs? I have been in such an isolated period outside of being with my husband and daughter. I've really been by myself. And it's been so liberating and peaceful. And a lot of people do not understand that because we've been so conditioned to think that we always have to be around a group. We always have to be around people. We always have to overly share. We always have to talk. And I've made videos about it in the past that people hate being by themselves. They hate stillness because stillness calls you to look within. It causes you to look at the good, the bad, the ugly, and the indifferent. You no longer can put on a mask. You can no longer hide behind it. You have to, when you're in that period, you're going to have to look at it. You can no longer put it in the drawer. You can no longer suppress it and act like it's not there. No, you have to really look at yourself when you're in isolation. And I think God does that at different points in your life because he needs to get your attention. He needs to elevate you and bring you to another level. And a lot of people take isolation as a punishment, but I think that different parts of your life is actually required. It's needed. Outside of you being married and being with your spouse and your children, you can't be around others outside of those quarters. And God isolates you because he needs to get your attention. He needs to elevate you, get you to look within, and get you to a place that you're quiet in the noise, that you're no longer distracted by the noise of others, of various things, because a lot of us move through life based on opinions of others, what they would do and how they feel that you need to go about it. And a lot of times God doesn't want that for you. He likes to guide you and move you along in your day to day and just your life in general, and that's why God says his ways are not your ways. My thoughts are higher than your thoughts, because when you try to worry about what others think and what others how others gonna perceive you, that's a lot of times that's your first mistake. That is where you end up being stagnant. This is where you end up having delays, and you end up not getting to your final destination much quicker due to you worrying about what others are doing, how they're doing, and what their opinions are. You need to get to a point that you are okay being alone, being by yourself. It is actually needed. Don't look at it as a time of punishment. It is required. I can't stress that enough. And I'm finding that many and many others are going in isolation. They are separating from the need to be around many people. There was a time where a lot of people were traveling packs. And I mean, you see some isolated instances now, but not so much, because it's protection in being isolated. When you feel like you need to be around a bunch of people, you bring a lot of doom and gloom to yourself and a lot of unnecessary outcomes, bad outcomes, if you will, because of those that you choose to have in your immediate circle. The more people you have, the more problems you tend to have a lot of times. I mean, that's not always the case, but in this climate in which we live in, it's happening more and more and more, And so don't be afraid to be isolated. That's really the message here. Be okay with being in isolation, because you're going to grow from it. You're going to get so much stronger. You're going to have more wisdom and discernment because you've quieted out the noise. You don't even know your own capabilities. You don't even know your own thought processes because you always worrying about what others' opinions are and what they think you should do. You need to move through life at certain points by yourself, because you're going to find that a lot of people are fake, phony, and they're not even who they portray themselves to be. And a lot of people, they don't want you to go higher than where they are or where they think you should be. People tend to put people in a box and say, well, I don't understand how they got there, and I don't really want to see them there. I don't think they could ever get there, because people like to just make up their own opinion as to what could be and what can't be in your life instead of worrying about their own life. So it's really important to just hone in on your own time, your own oneself, if you will. Just be by yourself. Isolation is good. You're going to grow from it. You're going to be better for it. And you're going to see that it's going to work out in your favor. So isolate yourself from time to time. Do it. Turn off the phone, turn off social media, put on the do not disturb. It's okay. You don't always have to be reachable. You don't always have to be accessible. It's a good thing. All right. To the next video, guys. Like, share, and subscribe. Bye.